Hello, I'm Joey Haskins, and welcome back to You've Never Seen, in which I showcase a movie you've probably never seen before. Over the past few weeks, I've been looking into the relationship between Elizabeth Taylor and Montgomery Clift. They starred in 3 movies together and were very close friends throughout their careers. Taylor even played a big part in the car crash that hindered Clift's career, very possibly saving his life. They remained friends until Clift's death in 1966. About 50 years before, Taylor would reveal that Clift was gay. So they were quite close as friends, and I was curious to see if that friendship would be reflected in the movies they starred in. Of the films they were in together, Raintree County is not available to watch in a lot of places. Suddenly Last Summer has a reputation for being denounced by most everyone involved, so that leaves A Place in the Sun. I didn't know much about A Place in the Sun. I thought I was walking into a dramatic romance with Clift and Taylor and a hokey happy ending, but some good acting throughout. Oh boy, was I wrong! A Place in the Sun is a 1951 film based on the 1925 novel An American Tragedy, and directed by George Stevens. The book was already made into a film back in 1931, however, that film was both a critical and financial failure. And with Stevens' sudden interest in making the film, Paramount was reluctant to make the film, thinking it wouldn't garner any money, only relenting when Stevens sued them for not letting him work. But in order to differentiate the 2 films, they needed to change some stuff to not associate with the original, so character names were changed as well as the name of the movie. Paramount even offered $100 to the first person who could come up with a new title. Stevens' associate, Ivan Moffat, came up with A Place in the Sun, which everyone liked, but he never received his $100. The film, of course, stars Montgomery Clift and Elizabeth Taylor, but the third star and standout of the film is Shelley Winters. I'm not going into the plot of this movie for those who haven't seen it, but trust me, you gotta give it a watch. For those who aren't familiar with the film, it starts off as a normal type of drama film. Everything going fine and the main character, played by Clift, trying to juggle a relationship with 2 different women. However, it slowly turns into a more sinister film, with the drama escalating as the desperation from Clift's character grows. And Clift gives an astounding performance despite problems on set between Clift and Stevens. Clift wouldn't refer to himself as one, but he was very method in his acting, and was one of the few at the time, leading to Stevens' directing style clashing with his acting style. Clift would often bring his acting coach on set, causing Stevens to bar her from being on it, forcing Clift to get coaching out of Stevens' view. Clift also didn't like George Stevens because he thought he was unimaginative with his approach on certain things. The relationship between Stevens and Winters, though, was even more complicated. Although Shelley Winters would praise Stevens for his directing, she would ultimately blame him for making her look too timid and, as such, typecasting her. Apparently, she drove around LA with the same car Liz Taylor had in the film to combat her insecurity. But the film would give her her very first Oscar nomination. She didn't win it that year, but she would end up winning 2 in the future for Diary of Anne Frank and Patch of Blue. The actor who didn't receive an Oscar nomination for this film was Liz Taylor. She was only 17 when they filmed, and she had a big task by acting in this film. A year before the film came out, she was one of the leads in the comedy Father of the Bride. So to go from that to a very heavy drama is a big step. But she was in for the challenge, with Stevens seeing that she, although being an actress her whole life, had a lot of dramatic potential. And thus her role in this film would completely change her career, consistently getting bigger ones, leading to her becoming the highest paid actor in Hollywood up until that point, and cementing a legacy as one of the most widely acclaimed actresses in the business. The film would end up being nominated for 9 Oscars, winning all of them except for Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Picture. And maybe it would have won those other 3 awards had An American in Paris, The African Queen, and A Streetcar Named Desire not also come out that year. Still, the film's legacy was secure and has garnered many fans in the industry. Charlie Chaplin, of all people, has said it's the greatest film ever made about America, and Mike Nichols has said it's one of his favorite films, and a big inspiration on him making The Graduate. The praise wasn't all over the board though, as reappraisals of the film have said it's not up to par with films by Hitchcock or Elia Kazan that were kinda like it, but it's not trying to be like either of them. It's kind of its own thing. So check out A Place in the Sun. It's available for free on Pluto TV, or you can check it out at your local library. With Weston Media Center, I'm Joey Haskins, and I'll see you all next time.